Hey guys, thank you all for joining me for another session of Supervision Sundays. I just want to say that this is an incredibly difficult time to be practicing as a clinician, a social worker, a counselor, a therapist. There's so much going on in the world with the pandemic, with civil unrest, and it's an incredibly difficult time, not just because of all that's going on, but because many of you as clinicians may be struggling while also trying to support your clients. And so I want to dedicate this Supervision Sundays to just giving you all some tips for working with your clients. If you have minority clients, particularly those who are Black and brown, because I know that we talk about cultural competency in our practice, but I am of the mindset we have to go beyond cultural competency, and what a time to be doing that right now while there's so much going on. And so if you're interested in this and you're wondering what can I do to support my clients, I'll also include some tips on how you can manage your own mental health and your own feelings while also supporting your clients. So please stay tuned. All right, so let's jump right into it. The first thing that I want to convey to you all that's important while working with minority clients during this time where there's a pandemic and there is civil unrest is that you ask how your clients are doing. Do not allow there to be an elephant in the room. If your ethnicity, your culture differs from your client, you want to make sure that you don't allow your client to think that you're just ignoring the fact that in the community, in your state, and across the nation, that there are things occurring that may or may not be impacting them on an individual level. And I think it's very important that you don't allow your client to sit with those feelings, because sometimes our clients can come into the room and they are worried about bringing these things up because they are worried about how you may feel or how uncomfortable it may make you as a clinician. And so what you want to do is you want to ask them how they're doing, and not just, hey, how are you doing? But hey, I recognize that there is a lot going on in the community. Could you tell me how you're doing with those things, so that you're opening the door and allowing your client to take away that discomfort they may feel waiting on you or wanting to make sure that you're okay. Keep in mind that our role as clinicians is to support our clients, is to convey empathy, to convey that we can understand where they're coming from, whether or not we are in their shoes or not. And so it's very important that you don't let that elephant just kind of sit there, right? The second thing that's important for you all to do when working with clients is to validate, especially Black and brown clients, right? Validate the Black experience. And that can be very difficult, especially if you are unsure of what they may be experiencing, you're uncomfortable, you have not processed your own feelings. I want you to know that I get it, right? I get that that can be difficult. But it's super important to building that therapeutic alliance and building overall rapport, right? Your client wants to know that even though you have a different experience, or maybe you have the same experience, validate that for them. Even within our own culture, being a minority clinician, my thoughts and opinions may differ from that of my peer who is also Black and brown, right? And so we want to make sure that with our clients, we're validating their experience, because we know that when people come to therapy, they've experienced a lot throughout their lives, and many people may not validate their trauma, right? And so this also falls into that important principle is empathy, right? We want to make sure that we're conveying empathy for our clients based on everything that they're sharing. The third thing is to inquire how all of these things are impacting their mental health, right? So specifically asking about, how is this impacting your anxiety? How is this impacting your depression? And how might all of this be re-triggering your past traumas? So I am not saying that we should turn our clinical hour into a discussion of current events, but you want to be able to help your client identify how these things have impacted their overall mental health. So bring it back to what we're here for, right? Is this triggering, a past trauma? Or is this re-triggering something that within you that you have not processed, and how can I help you with that? A lot of clients may not know how it's impacting their anxiety. They may not know that it's impacting their depression. And so you may need to ask them, have you noticed that you've been sleeping more? Have you noticed that you've been a little more on edge? And what can I do to help guide you towards some better self-care and towards processing those feelings so that you can manage your mental health, right? The last thing is very, very important based on everything that you have gotten from your client. So asking, making sure that you acknowledge the elephant in the room, validating their experience, inquiring about how it has impacted their mental health. The last thing I want you to do is to adjust your treatment plan accordingly, right? So you may have had a client come in and they were wanting to work on maybe some childhood traumas. Maybe, they lost a job last year and they really are struggling. Maybe they have some couples counseling related goals. You want to make sure that based on everything that you've gotten from them, that you adjust your treatment plan to address this. Sometimes we do have crises that come up that have to be addressed in order for your client to move forward. And this is very much a time where that may be the case. And so make sure that you're adjusting your treatment plan based on everything that you're learning from your client. Now, you as the clinician may also be struggling, and so it is okay for you to not be okay during this time. What I will say, though, is that if you find yourself struggling so much that you believe that you will not be of benefit to your client, make sure that you're referring them to someone, or that you're just kind of taking some time to take off for you, right? So what that means is maybe you need to reschedule that session for a day where you're feeling a little better. You want to make sure that you're not going into that clinical hour and you're not going into the room and further creating harm for your client because you have not processed everything that you need to process in order to help your clients. How do you do that? Well, we have to implement self-care practices even for the clinician. So that may mean that we're getting therapy during this time. Maybe if you're getting supervision, hopefully you're talking about this with your clinical supervisor. Making sure that you're eating right, making sure that you're getting adequate sleep, and also making sure that you take a step back from maybe watching the news, reading all that people are posting on social media. Sometimes we have to take steps back so that we make sure that our primary role during our session is to support our clients and that we're doing the best job we can in doing that. So, of course, I hope that this has been helpful to you. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. If you're not already following, it is at Lead Clinically on Facebook and on Instagram. Please like, share, follow, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Take time for yourself. This is definitely a time where it is needed that you take care of yourself in order to continue taking care of your clients. So I'm Dr. Brittany. Thank you all for joining me for another session of #Supervision Sundays.